listening to the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Sport and another Monday edition of the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing all right, Barnes.
I mean, hey, you saw me, the diner. I mean, a similar feeling, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, there's just so much to dive into. But just real quick before we get started here, I'd just like to give a special shout out to my dad today. It's his birthday.
No way.
Happy birthday, Dad. And we're going to get a round in on the golf course at Sterling Farms there in Stanford. So looking forward to enjoying that with you and a nice dinner afterwards.
How old is your father, or did you not divulge?
I'll spare him that. I think he'd prefer, he's young though. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, all right.
So just wanted to give him a special shout out. But let's get started, Tony. In the world of the National Hockey League.
In they come. Edmund, what a save by Vasilevsky. Are you kidding me? McAvoy, Frederick, did you get the license plate number on that truck? McDavid, beautiful. You just knew that Connor McDavid was going to make a statement. What a goal.
All right, Tony. Unfortunately for the Rangers, their season came to an end on Saturday night as they fall in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals to the Tampa Bay Lightning, 2-1, as the Lightning advance to their third straight Stanley Cup, and just a very sour way to end a season that was full of so much promise and so much progress was made with a group of a lot of talented young players as well as veterans and a first-year head coach in Gerard Gallant. And even as we sit here on Monday, a couple of days after the fact, it's tough not to relish in all the missed opportunities that were there. And it's hard not to think that today, they could potentially be warming up for a Game 7, as well as be preparing for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals coming up on Wednesday. What do you got for me, John?
I mean, yeah, of course, dude. I mean, you look at the series they had against Tampa Bay. You're up 2-0, right? Just off the rip, you win the first 2 games, which is great. Obviously, you're thinking this is phenomenal. They talked about it, on ESPN Radio, on the Fan, like. This is like a different Rangers team we're seeing. I'm sure, Lightning won't go down without a fight, but Rangers are playing really well. They kind of blow a 2-0 lead in the third game. And then you're thinking, all right, well, I mean, it would have been nice to go into this, into Game 4 up 3-0, but, still 2-1, whatever. We've been playing well. It was 1 goal, in the last 40 seconds of the game. Not going to happen again. Don't worry about it. Game 4, they come out, they get pretty much rolled over by Tampa Bay. And at that point, you're like, oh, all right, well, you know what? It's 2-2. Tampa Bay's a good team, especially at home. You don't expect to win every game on the road. Rangers have been phenomenal at home. We have Game 5 in the Garden. Let's go. What happens? Well, you lose Game 5 in the Garden. And then you think to yourself, all right, well, kind of would have been nice. Win Game 5 in the Garden, then you have the ability to lose, Game 6, whatever, on the road. Game 7 back at the Garden. We like that. Now, you're like, all right, well, now we got to win a game on the road. Game 6 comes along, 1-0 pretty early. You're like, all right, 1 goal, whatever, dude. Game goes on, you score 1, you're like, all right, dude, sweet, it's 1-1. Let's push it to OT. All right. That feeling of ecstasy lasted about 25 seconds.
I mean, we've all been there.
And they just kind of fumble it. Now, That was basically the thought process of any Rangers fan throughout the series. However, Game 6, a few different things were going on here. Ryan Strome was coming back from an injury. It seemed like he really wasn't 100%, just from the way he was skating. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you even playing him? Bring up someone who's healthy.
Or maybe just play Kako. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing. They scratched Kako, which now the people, in the sports world, reporters are murmuring that, well, you know what? I guess Kako's leaving this offseason. I mean, it must
be. But he's still under contract, right?
He's still under contract, but I guess they're going to do something with. I don't know. Maybe they're going to buy him out and trade him, or I don't know.
I mean, I feel like they wouldn't just cut him. I mean, he has value.
There's no way they would cut him, especially look at what was working for the Rangers for a while was the kid line, was Kakko, Lafreniere, and Hedl. And it's like you're going to, for some reason, scratch him for one of the most important games of the season here. And not to mention, I feel like he was one of the players who was, I feel like surprising people with the level of his play. I mean, I was talking about him throughout the postseason. He started to get into his own in terms of setting up Hedl, Lafreniere, getting good chances as well, finding the back of the net a couple of times. It seemed like Kakko was really kind of, being molded into this player we really needed him to be, when he was first drafted. And it's like, now you're not playing him. You're playing an injured Strome. What are you doing?
And with that being said, Tony, it's hard. And I know it's so, I guess quick on the trigger, but I mean, you have to ask the question, because obviously he blew up in other stops, that he had been previously. It begs the question that, is Gerard Gallant the right man to lead the New York Rangers to a Stanley Cup championship?
I don't know. It's definitely a tough call because, look at what he did do with the Rangers this season, right? But, he certainly got outcoached by Tampa Bay. When you think about it, Tampa Bay made sure that Cirelli line was up against the Zibanejad line and did really well in terms of limiting their offensive production. Our defense, along with those calls, excuse me, along with those calls with with Strome and Kakko, we really only had one line to stop, and that was the Palat-Stamkos line, right? Kucherov line. There was, I think Tampa Bay had, I don't know, what was it? I think like 16 or 14 goals, whatever. That line had 12 of them.
Right.
So like their offense is really one-sided when you think about it. So really the only thing you had to do was to stop that line, and you couldn't. Of course, again, easier said than done because they're, top players in the league. But how do you not just shut them down? Like, I understand there's gripes with how the defenders were playing as well. Like in Game 6, that Stamkos' first goal was, I don't know what Trouba was doing, but he got totally beat by Stamkos. He was just in a bad position, and Stamkos had so much room. I don't even know. Not to mention, the two goals that were let up, by the way, by Shesterkin were not good goals to be letting up. That first goal with Stamkos, maybe, I think it was, Trouba was kind of blocking, whatever. Maybe he didn't see it. That was a goal he should have had. I'm sure he would say that. And then the second Stamkos goal, where it popped right out of his glove, he's got to control that puck. Like those two goals, although, obvious, breakdown of defense. Look at every other save that Shesterkin had. There was one save where it was an absolutely wide open net and just throws his torso first into it, blocks the shot, gathers himself and is back in between the pipes again. It's like you looked at some of the saves he had were so phenomenal. He kept them in the game because of that. But then those two goals he let up, dude. You can't be doing that. He kind of crumbled a little bit there, which is surprising. But you know what? It's unfortunate that he, in the one time he has to lean on some offense here, we didn't have any. So, it was
didn't have any for what, the last 3 games of the series?
Yeah, dude. Our 5-on-5 was horrible. Power play was doing okay, I suppose. I think we were 50% on power play. We had 1 for 2. And our, penalty killing was good. Our defense was okay. But I mean, the reason why we kill those penalties, the reason why they only had 2 goals is because of Shesterkin. Our defense really didn't play well. Our offense played like shit. They still just, it was just the struggle to get into the neutral zone. And it was, having that goal, right, and then just giving up another goal like 20 seconds after is just so heart-wrenching. I mean, they say that, a shift after a goal is one of the most important shifts because anything could really happen. You don't want to lose your momentum. They totally fumbled it. They were sleeping on that shift. I don't know what was going on, but they played a horrible game. Obviously, Gallant had some questionable coaching calls as well. Huge missed opportunity for them, honestly.
And it's like with baseball, and football to an extent. I think we were kind of talking about this last week, but it's just like you can assume, Shesterkin's not that old, they got some younger players, they'll be back, but it's like you can't waste opportunities. And I know it might be too reactive, and I'm not saying that Gallant is the worst coach in the world, but I just don't think / know if he's the right coach to lead them to the championship. I'm not saying he can't lead them to the playoffs, win divisions, get to a conference finals. I just think there's no margin for error in those situations. And I just feel like in 2 guys that are actually finalists for the Flyers job, that might be better options here. One being Barry Trotz. Obviously we saw the Islanders let him go after a few seasons and, being in the same position as the Rangers last year. And then the other one being, I know it's going back to the well, and I already know you're going to say, no. It's basically like Randolph going back to the Mets. I honestly think Tortorella might be better. I'm sorry. I think there's a reason why Gallant has worn out his welcome. And if I had to pick between those 2 guys, I would say Trotz. I don't know.
You could say Trotz too, but look how long it took him to get a cup. I mean, he had Alexander Ovechkin on the Capitals for so long,
right?
And he has 1 cup to show for it.
But the thing is, 1 cup to show for it. But he left right after he got the cup. You know what I mean? If he had never left, would there have been more? And it's just like also, there's just a sense of comfortness to have a coach that's been there before.
Right.
And Gallant, you can't say that about. And I just feel like he showed his true colors, in this postseason.
Did you see him at the conference too?
Yeah.
Where they asked him they were saying, there's like a press conference today that he's probably going to touch upon these points, whatever. But he was asked about like what was the deal with Kako, and he didn't. He's like, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, of course, what did you expect? First of all, for the obviously there's gonna be these types of questions at the post game, and he doesn't really have any type of reason for his decision making. I guess we'll see today when they have their end of the year press conference, whatever. But it's like, dude, come on, at least give some type of answer, give something,
But what's your move if you're Chris Drury?
I mean, it's tough. It's you're not exactly sure what the team is going to look like in terms of players too. What's the deal with Kako? Stroman's going to be around probably. Are you going to sign Cop? I don't know. So I don't know. It should be interesting to see where players end up. But if I were him, I would think it's a little premature to get rid of Gallant. Maybe obviously, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but I would certainly sit down with the man and be like, "Hey, like, what's the deal? Like, why did you make these decisions? We need to look at this a little differently. See if you guys can come to some type of compromise to move forward." I don't know. Again, Gallant's been, he was out of Vegas after a couple of years, so you have to assume maybe he's a little stubborn, because of his short tenure there, new team too. I mean. Interesting to see how it'll kind of go, but I would sit down with him first, and then hey, if he doesn't want to budge, you gotta get rid of him. But I think for now, I think we should keep him.
But is a big reason why you want to keep him just not to go 3 coaches in 3 years?
I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like the culture the Rangers had, this season was great, and I feel like Gallant was probably a big part of that. Obviously with the players too, but I mean, you can't say Eastern Conference Final in your first year with the team. I mean, that's still good.
I know. I just
Like,
think this team was more than good enough to win the whole thing.
No, I do. I think so too, honestly. And I think they would have done better against Colorado than Tampa Bay is going to do, honestly. But I don't know. And again, I mean, yeah, I understand Barry Trotz. I like Barry Trotz, Tortorella. I mean, just the other coaches. I don't really know if you get that much of a difference. If it's like, oh wow, like Gallant's way worse than Barry Trotz. Like Gallant's way worse than Tortorella. Like, I think Tortorella is kind of a hothead. He's kind of a little bit of a wild card coach, I feel, especially with young guys you try to bring up and kind of mold into what their career players, right? But I don't know, dude. Trotz would be a maybe for me, but again, I just think it's a little early. It's 1 year in.
I don't know, and like I'm not around the team. I'm not a beat reporter. I don't know, but it's just like it just seems like it would be a tough guy to like. I don't know why. He just seems so like and I know, hockey's intense and all that stuff, but do you really think he's a player's coach?
I mean, I think he's the best we're going to get right now. I do think so. I mean, the way it seems like he's talked about some of the players, the way he stands up for them on the bench. I mean, yeah, I think he is a player's coach. I do.
And I just think, I guess my 2 things are, not being able to switch things up to avoid losing 4 straight games to get bounced from the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then Kakko. I mean, I understand, since he was drafted, first overall a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't lived up to it, but we've seen signs recently. So now that we finally see signs in an important game, you're going to remove him. And how do we know that didn't affect how the players played?
Of course it did. I mean, look, the kid line was one of the best producing lines there was. You're going to break them up?
But that's what I'm saying. So how is that?
Stupid,
but
dude.
why is that acceptable to you?
It's not acceptable. I'm telling you it's not.
So then what? You're just looking at it from the broader picture of, well, it was a successful season. We just blew it at the end, so that's why he deserves to stay.
Yeah, and again, like you're coming at me with two coaches that I don't think are going to do better than him.
Trotz, though,
I don't think so.
Even though he's won a
cup. Have you seen Trotz? Do you think Trotz is a player's coach? I don't think so.
I mean, it seemed like he was very popular, though. No.
What did he did really well? He did. It's odd that the Islanders got rid of him. Honestly, I mean, we talked about it when they did. But I mean, he's just. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't seem like a player's coach. He's very quiet. He's not very animated. Again, we're not beat reporters, not with him every day. But I mean, it's like he doesn't seem like a coach. You'd be like, oh, like you want to grab some dinner tonight? Like, no, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like one of those coaches that could be like nice to hang out with.
But maybe too, it's that given the physicality of the sport, I mean, you kind of have to be rough around the edges, and it's hard to be a guy like you said that you're going to grab dinner with.
No, yeah, but I think Gallant is rough around the edges, though.
Yeah,
but I think he seems to be a good mix. He jokes around at the press conferences, but then he's serious. You see him yelling and cursing on the bench. You see him yelling at some players. You see him joking around with the players. I feel like I've never really seen Barry Trotz do that. Now, if you were like, oh, hey, like, Chris Drury talked to like a Mark Messier, he wants to coach, then I'd be like, well,
But even though having no coaching experience, you just plug him right in?
I probably would. He knows enough about the game, obviously.
Right.
And you talk about someone who's won a cup as well. I mean, and someone who knows New York.
But then again, you think like, but then why was Gretzky a terrible coach,
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I mean, who knows more hockey than him?
I know.
Why is Jordan a terrible owner,
Yeah, but see, Gretzky's a little different, though, because I feel like he retired just before the game started changing. So
he played a different game.
He played a different hockey game, for sure. And I think Messier was around longer. He kind of saw that change,
And then one other name, too, that's out there. I don't know. Bruce Cassidy or no? Can't do it. Boston. I mean, your team. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see that the players went to the owner and was like, "We got to get rid of him"?
Oh, really? I
yeah,
did not
like
see
the players
that. Okay.
approached the owner, was like, "We have to get rid of this guy."
Okay,
so that's not a good sign, bro.
No, and did you hear it too? Though 2 weeks before they said, "Yeah, don't worry, you're all set for next year."
Oh yeah, really? That's horrible.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I guess, listen, rough around the edges aside, I think my biggest thing with Gallant isn't the fact too that they couldn't make it to the Cup. It's just that I question the adjustments. So I don't know. Does he need to bring in a high profile assistant? The offense thing, I just think that was not fixed this whole postseason, especially this last series and at times in the previous series. And I think that's my biggest qualm, is that there were no adjustments made to really get the offense going on a team that has so many options to score. And I think that's my biggest problem, is like, why was nothing done about that? And I know it's on the players, but you're telling me more couldn't have been done?
No, yeah, I would have, if I were Gallant, I would have broken up like Panarin and Zibanejad, and even Kreider too. Like have that first line be maybe like Strome, Panarin, and someone else, and then throw Kreider on your third line with like Reeves or someone, or Zibanejad on your third line with Reeves. I think they would have been a good matchup, just to mix up the lines and to be like, oh, hey, we have a playmaker on now 3 out of the 4 lines we have. You know, it'll be hard to defend. They're not going to, like, Tampa Bay wouldn't throw Cirelli's line out there for the entire game. You can't do that. Maybe that could produce some more offense. But, I mean, again, maybe he saw something we didn't. I mean, that would have been my adjustment for sure. But again, I mean, who knows? I mean, some players, we saw it. I think I want to say, what was it, game 5? How many, opportunities they had offensively, they just couldn't convert to make goals, So yeah, you do blame the players, you blame Gallant, of course. You got to blame everyone. I mean, losing is a team effort, Brian.
I feel like you can't blame Shesterkin. I mean, what more was he going to do this whole postseason? Nothing.
That dude, honestly,
the goals,
those 2 goals in games. I mean, dude, you cannot be giving up goals like that.
But they should have scored more for him in the previous game.
Of course, they should have. But it was the name of the whole season was Shesterkin. Okay,
right.
Those are 2 saves he should have had.
Yeah,
and that's the bottom line.
But it's just like you gotta score. I mean,
it's
like, I mean, it's just. Boy, so I didn't realize until this morning what a big deal not playing Kako was. I didn't know that either. There was no reason why. Gallant kind of blew it with that one. And Matthew, if you could please hang with us for 1 second, I just need to know your opinion here. If it were up to you, would you rather have either Tortorella or Trotz over Gallant based on his failures this series? And even if you need a second to answer, we'll definitely come back to it, because I just am very curious your answer to this. Obviously, my vote is to get rid of him. Tony wants to stay the course. Interesting to see what you think, bud. So appreciate you tuning in.
I'm here, he says.
I'm here. So what do we got?
What do you got? What do you got, Matthew?
What are you doing? Come on.
Keep him or lose him. Keep him or lose him.
Keep him. Tortorella. What do we got?
Come on, dude. It's been 1 year though. 1 year. And it was a year, by the way, mind you. I mean, the Rangers,
I kind of want to ride it out with Gallant.
To be honest.
Okay.
Thank you for your input.
Listen, and I'm, you guys, have been following the Rangers longer than I have in hockey in general. And I guess it's just like, I just don't like the fact that a coach should never be the reason why you lose a playoff series, or a big reason why. And he says, yeah, way too short of a sample size for him. And it almost reminds me, and I know this is cross sports, but it's like Grady Little leaving in Pedro. Like, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't like a huge reason why they lost. He wasn't a huge reason. They should have won game 3.
But
they should have been going. They should have been 3 games up.
But is it really that hard to concoct something with that offensive talent? Good comparison.
Only one reason takes them to game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals when no one thought they would even be there. But
yeah,
wow, exactly. Yeah, whatever.
Game 3, fellas, that was it. And I mentioned that as a turning point.
That wasn't his fault. That was the players.
But yeah, I just I just feel like, though, with a 2-0 lead and that talented of a team, I just feel like a better coach would have been able to figure it out. And me and Matt talk all the time about Just figure it out, dude.
Right.
Just figure it out.
I mean, he was put in a tough position. Think about it, right? You're up 2-0. Everything is perfect.
Right.
Game 3, you lose in a nail biter, right? In that last goal, 2-1. As a coach, I would think to myself, well, 1-goal game. They got a lucky one in the last few seconds. It wasn't really necessarily, on us. It wasn't really on how I was, managing the team, because we could have won that game. It wasn't necessarily, there wasn't like a giant hole in coaching in that game. So it's like, all right, not many adjustments need to be made. Game 4, we get blown out. Then you're thinking, all right, it wasn't, it was game 5 is really when he started making some coaching errors in game 6, right? Obviously,
But
two of
those
the
are the-
biggest
yeah.
games. But regardless, if the players played their game, we would have been up 3-0, and then then it would have been over. It would have been over if we were up 3-0. And then there would have been not even an issue with him at all,
Yeah.
So I'm saying, yes, he was put in a very tough position. And listen, he's not a veteran coach.
Right.
He has coaching experience in other leagues. He's coached the Knights to the Stanley Cup in their first year, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's still going to be some learning for him as well, especially with a Rangers team like this. I mean, it's the first time he's in a market like this. It's going to be different for him, for sure. There's going to be a learning curve. Yeah, he made mistakes. Bottom line, if the players play better, then we win. Bottom line.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is always on the.
I mean, we got shut out. Like, we got shut out. We had no offense going. That's not necessarily his fault.
Right. And then he says, yeah, Kreider said he got caught watching the puck instead of the guy at the end of game 3.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
That was a big difference.
And then he's confused with Kakko.
The Kakko thing still. It has to be something internal/personal. Smells like there might be some beef between him and Gallant or other high-ups. I think that's the only thing I can think of. So I guess he won't be on the team next year. That's what they're saying. Obviously, not much is out yet. You have to assume, because Gallant didn't want to talk about it either after the game. Either he's realizing that was a stupid mistake and there was no reason for it, or there is something else kind of going on. I mean, when you think about Kakko, up until this postseason, he has not been playing the way the Rangers expected him to play. So I don't know. Maybe something happened internally, but I'm sure some more light will be shined upon it next couple of days. But yeah, they're saying it's just we can assume at this point he's not going to be around next year, which sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I know that most likely, and of course, James Dolan, is always a wild card. But I mean, I'm sure just kind of we would hear more if there was really they were on the verge of making a quick move here. So I would imagine he'll be back for next season, but I think it's going to come with a lot of pressure, no margin for error, and would I be that surprised? And not that I would expect it. And of course, we have to see how the roster is constructed. But let's say they get off to an uneven start. You know what I mean? And then he's shown the door. So that's just why I don't know. I feel like for as good of a season as it was, just based on the way it ended, going into year 2, and we saw it end quick in Vegas, it's like he's already like in hot water already. And you know what I mean? Despite a successful season. And I also just a special shout out. Shogri just texted me. He's tuning in right now, listening into the conversation. So of course, we always appreciate all of our followers, our listeners, our fans.
Who else is tuning in?
Thanks for tuning in, as well as your mother, Tony. And she says, good morning, fellas. And we know that she is distraught about the Rangers' loss as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I feel like, I feel like she kind of wants Gallant to go, no?
I don't think really she has much of an opinion about it, honestly.
Barnes, you think he's in hot water already?
No, I do. Yes.
A lot of pressure next year.
No, I do think he's in hot water. However, I think that
10-18 next year, gone.
No, yeah, I would say, and like a mid-season quarter of the season coaching change isn't bad, So I would just you might as well ride him out. You might as well kind of ride him out. We've seen we've seen players rally around coaching changes. Look at how the Canadiens kind of had a burst of good play when Marty St. Louis came in.
Yeah.
We've seen it before with the midseason coaching changes that, those new coaches can really turn a team around. And especially with, a game like hockey, I think it happened. Momentum can shift. You can go from last place to first place in like a month, dude. Like with all the games happening. I mean, if you want to get a great run, like that could make or break your season. Really, look at Edmonton. they had a great run at the tail end of the season. They made it to the playoffs, made it to the Western Conference Final, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why I just stick with Gallant, see how he made excuse me, makes an adjustment. I think it's worth it. Hot water, we did that. Whatever Anthony thinks is what I think. Thank you, Mom. I mean, they gave Alain Vignon a few years. Yeah, Alain Vignon.
And
Water.
I know we could have this
Gotta
debate
give
forever,
Gallant
but
another year, not
last question here. Obviously, of course, two-part question, but number one, like you can visualize it, Gallant being at the head of a Stanley Cup championship. And number two, that we're sitting here 5 years from now, you could honestly see him still being the coach.
5 years from now? Yeah, I do think so, especially if he does lead them to a cup.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, he's made it to a cup final already, Eastern Conference final. What is he, like 3 years in the league as a head coach?
No, because he was with Florida and Columbus as well.
So was that? But he was a year each, was it not?
Oh, okay. So
No.
each stop actually has been 3 years.
Oh, really? He was with Vegas for 3 years? No.
Yeah, your first round and then fired mid-season in 2019.
Oh, in the third year. Okay, yeah.
And then actually each stop he didn't even make it all the way through the third year. So that I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like a third marriage after the second divorce.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a pattern. So that's just the only thing that I'm just slightly concerned about.
All right. So what do you want to give him? 2 years?
Yeah,
3
and like I
years?
said, a slow start out, but that's why it's like if it's already going to be that, then I just like the idea of long-term stability at head coach, and I don't think he offers that. I don't think he has staying power, and I think we've seen that. And Matthew says, "Get divorced."
2 cups in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
you want,
of course.
Yeah.
Get divorced.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, dude. It's definitely tough. Obviously, I suppose not a great track record, but it's 1 year.
Yeah. So let's kill it this offseason. Hopefully the locker room isn't divided because of this Kakko thing. Maybe everyone thinks he sucks and they're happy that he did that. Maybe that's why he did it.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. But I just hope that they really learn from this experience and never find themselves in this situation again, to feel like this, to have it all in front of them, to have the advantage, to be on the verge of going up 3-0 in an Eastern Conference final and then blow it. I hope that they never find themselves in this situation again. And Matthew says, I think I'm pushing him out the door too quickly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look at the track record. But I hope maybe this is something different. Maybe he's meant for New York. Who knows? So we get the Lightning, we get the Avalanche. That'll be on Wednesday, so we'll talk about it then. But of course, it's like when your team gets eliminated from baseball. It's so hard to closely follow it after that. The bitterness lasts for weeks upon weeks. But we'll touch on it. But for now, speaking of, let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. The back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Cy-Yo, nada, where did that land?
Stuck to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires, out at first. There it goes, see ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
Was that the soundbite from Saturday?
Maybe.
So over the weekend, Yankees with the sweep. We'll get to it in 1 second, but I just wanted to update pick standings. I went 3-1 on Friday, moved my record to 4-4 on this new pick segment for dinner at Sakura. Tony goes 2-2, so 3-5, 1 game difference. Lots of life left, of course. With that situation, and Matthew says it's New York, it's B.
Yeah,
Goose is
B,
tight.
Goose
Of
is
course,
tight.
he's tight.
Who's not tight?
As the misery continues on for him with his fandom, but we will get there one way or another. But on to a positive note, like I said, I mean, it was just a complete shellacking of the Cubs this weekend. Sure, you had the close game on Friday, the Yankees walking it off in 13, and who else but Jose Trevino. I mean, I'm telling you, it started out as a joke, Tony. I mean, really hard to argue him being the starting all-star catcher for the American League. He's hitting over 300.
Yeah.
No, it is kind of funny how it was a joke, but now it's pretty serious, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just you just love that. This day and age with the entitlement, no matter what sport we're talking about, the money, of course, being the priority everywhere, to have a guy that just gives it his all and has worked so hard for it. I mean, this is a guy who's been around for a while. It's not like he's a rookie just coming up. To have that perseverance and, be known as, just a defensive catcher, to finally be coming around with the bat. I mean, you just got to love to see it. And, sure, in this game from Friday, you would have liked to see some more offense, but the offense picked it up, obviously, the next 2 days, including yesterday. And he says he's the best hitting catcher in the league. Hard to argue. Come on. It's hard to argue that. Him and Nestor, battery mates, historic, Matthew says, and Ruthian. How about Severino? 20 strikeouts his last 2 starts, including 10 on Friday, 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and of course the 10 strikeouts. Bullpen shuts the door after that. I mean, I am
Mariano Rivera, number 42.
Oh man, that gets me every time. But Tony, and I know I kind of mentioned this last start with Severino, but still, just after this long layoff, he's literally pitching like he could win the Cy Young.
I know, it's literally ridiculous. I feel like no one really would have assumed or would have guessed this. I feel like, again with the injuries, the kind of slow comeback sort of deal. To see him kind of come back into his own now, it's refreshing, Barnes.
And it's just that's why I get mad when teams, the guy has a big injury, he's due for a new contract. Oh, let's let him go. And it's like, listen, especially the way that the medical advances we've had over the years, Severino, even with a couple of years of layoff, it doesn't matter. You can get there, and this is the guy that we saw in 2018, in 2019. The toughest thing to see is killing me today, Tony. So on to Saturday, another 8-0 victory here. Judge with the 2 home runs. So he sits now at 24 home runs, average over 300, obviously on a Ruthian pace, Tony. And how about Jordan Montgomery? One of the more unheralded members of the starting rotation. 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, picking up only his 2nd victory of the season. Spotty run support early on here. 2.70 ERA. Marciano and Licky get the job done from the bullpen. And then you look at this as well. Stanton had his 13th. Glaber with his 12th, and Trevino.
Glaber Torres, dude,
had his 5th. He sat out yesterday with a stomach issue, but he's really coming on.
All right.
And you just look up and down this lineup, signs of life with Hicks and Gallo, recently as well. One guy that stands out that just hasn't done it is Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I know.
And but you can wait for it because the offense has been so potent.
Yeah, he's got time. I would say, he personally probably does feel pressure, but I don't think he's as pressured to perform right now.
Just it's like we win every game.
Yeah,
what do you want me to do?
Dude? And then I'm sure once he hits like his first dinger in a few days, he would be like, all right.
Are you? But like at the end of this season,
get him out.
No, but not just get him out. But I'm saying, are the results by the season's ends, like when you look at the numbers, do you feel like they're going to be satisfactory, or do you think by the time the season ends, he's going to be a part-time player?
I think they're going to be like a little bit underwhelming. But then you're going to argue, second half of the season he was good, and that's how it kind of came up to the little bit underwhelming numbers. But he pulled it together second half.
And obviously, if he has a big postseason,
right,
and none of that'll matter. And then on to yesterday to complete the sweep, 18-4 over the Cubs yesterday afternoon in the Bronx. So they complete the sweep. Pitching wise, Taillon, did his old Taillon, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, gets his 7th victory of the season. And then Tony's favorite, Manny Banuelos, gets the save. Tony's favorite team gets the 3-inning save in an 18-4 game. It's funny how you can still get a save in that situation, but 3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. So, he's given him innings out of the bullpen for a guy that was a non-roster invite. But you look at the offense here yesterday. 18 runs on 17 hits. And you look at the multiple hit guys. Well, first of all, you have 3 guys with 2 hits. How about 3 guys with 3 hits? Higgy, IKF, and Stanton. And then Higgy with 2 home runs after not having any going into the year. And I feel like this is Tony's guy. Obviously, the stash plays into it. Matt Carpenter, Tony. Looking
dude.
like Babe Ruth out there.
Literally. How old was he? 35?
36.
36. You have to love that.
7 RBIs yesterday.
Love that.
2
dude.
home
Holy
runs.
shit.
Hitting 333 with the Yankees, slugging 1125. Hadn't started a game in 9 days. Got the nod due to the Glaber scratch with the stomach issue. But it's just amazing. I mean, this guy is basically a pinch hitter for this team. And, I mean, you look at it. I mean, he literally, if he was getting playing time every day, could be a 30 home run guy. And it just – everyone says the swing, the porch, and it's just amazing. A guy that was playing AAA ball with the Rangers getting released is putting up this type of production. So you'll love to see that. You love to see up and down the lineup that you're getting hits from everybody. And, the fact especially – Judge having 3 hits. So now he's sitting at 318 on the season, slugging 686, on base percentage of 391. So it just keeps on coming for him, and you're just getting production up and down the lineup. And I know, the opponent, obviously the Cubs, are not one of the better teams in the league, but you play to win the game. You play who's on your schedule. And through 60 games, they've won 44 of them, including a 26-7 mark at home. This is the best baseball I've ever seen the Yankees play in the regular season. So it's just, there's not much other to say than that. I mean, they just consistently dominate the opponent. And of course, it'll be nice to see, a test coming up here with this series against the Rays starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be interesting to see, but they played well against them earlier in the year. But it's just a lot to like being a fan of the New York Yankees. I mean, it's no other way to say it, Tony.
Yeah. No, really, dude. There's really no complaints besides Josh Donaldson.
Oh, my God. Carpenter, maybe he should get the nod at third instead.
Honestly.
I mean,
you think he can play at third? Honestly, though?
Yeah, he'd probably be better at the But what you could do, obviously Donaldson to the bench.
Right.
LeMahieu at third, and then Carpenter DH.
Yeah, that would be dope. You think they would do that?
I mean, at least at Yankee Stadium, that swing, right? I mean, isn't it tailor-made for Yankee Stadium? So I'm pumped. So, it helps ease the burden of the disappointment with the Rangers. So, like I said, off today. So well-deserved, rest here after a great series over the weekend. As their lead, I believe, grows to 8.5 games. And of course, having the best record in the major leagues, 9 over the Rays and 12.5 over the Red Sox. And one other thing that I thought was funny. So I think I saw this on Saturday. It was like, over the past 31 games, the Red Sox have went 21-10, and they've lost 2.5 games in the standings to the Yankees.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that just shows,
crazy, dude.
With that 127 run differential, 307 runs scored already. Love it.
How do you think they're going to do in the upcoming series here? They got a little
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3?
2 out of 3. Done.
Every series.
I mean, don't they do that every series or sweep it? I mean, is it just me?
No.
I mean, when was the last time they lost this series? Chicago a month ago?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really all I got there, Tony. But what do you have in terms of the New York Mets over the weekend?
So, the New York Mets took 2 out of 3 against LA this weekend, which, I mean, hey.
Winning baseball is
right. Friday, they won 7-3, I believe. Tyler McGill made his return to the mound. I think he went like 2 1/3, gave up like 3 runs. Not great production out of him. Our bullpen had to really take over early for him, unfortunately, which is like a tough way to start the weekend, obviously, is going through your bullpen. But, talk about run support. I think Kana and Nimmo both had 3 RBIs in the game. Kana hit a nice 2-run double, I think, in the second. Nimmo hit a 3-run home run. LA was playing a bullpen game, and it's just like, I don't know why. I don't exactly know what happened with the rotation, but because Syndergaard wanted rest, they have to they pushed the starters back and did bullpen on Friday. And I feel like their bullpen isn't really that strong to be kind of relying on that like that. So you'll have to see that win on Friday. Saturday, a little bit of a different situation. Cookie Carrasco was on the mound. And I feel like it's this. I feel like the one thing that's hurting Carrasco is just his inconsistency. I feel like it's every other outing he has is really good or really bad. And this was one of the really bad ones. I mean, you look at his stat line: 4 2/3, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk. Did get 7 Ks though, but I mean the 5 earned runs absolutely killed him. And this game was Trout and Ohtani. I think Trout had 2 home runs. Ohtani had 1. Ohtani had another like RBI single or double or something like that. Rendon may have homered. If not, it was like an RBI double. Which is kind of tough because you look at, the Mets scored 6 runs. I feel like normally that would be more than enough to beat a team. Unfortunately, with Carrasco not doing well, then I think Shreve got hit as well when he came in for some relief. Of course, most of our bullpen was used on Friday, so we didn't have much to be to decide through. But tough loss on Saturday. However, big bounce back game yesterday.
Sunday Night Baseball.
Sunday Night Baseball. This was the game that Syndergaard was supposed to be pitching against, which is, whatever. But instead, because Syndergaard's a little baby, we got Pablo Sandoval. No?
That's going to be a soundbite. Just mark it down.
No, I might.
Tony, you're throwing all these bites at me. Dude, we can't get any of you.
Well, hey, listen, it's mostly you, dude. And at this point, dude, the sound bites are getting pretty crowded over here. I don't have much space.
Get a backup board. Let's go.
I'll write that time code down.
You're gonna have to start filtering them out. I think
there's a few we don't use.
Yeah,
dude.
like Evander Kane, enough. You know what I mean? It was good. It was a good story this year. Next year, we're gonna forget it even exists.
Yeah, probably, dude.
Well, unless the Rangers sign him.
Unless he gets arrested in the offseason. Anyway, so
wait, quick. I know I'm interrupting you here, but would you be more tight about Torty coming back to town or the Rangers signing Evander Kane?
Probably Tortorella, honestly.
Wow, discard. Can't do it. Missed opportunity. Continue on.
Anyway, so here come the Mets on Sunday. JD Davis hit a home run. So did Pete Alonso. I'd love to see that. Definitely, they won 4-1. So, not a lot of offensive production, but enough for me. Mets, I feel like all weekend, though, even though it took 2 out of 3, did struggle with runners in scoring position. I'm not sure the numbers on the whole weekend, but I know they didn't do too well the first 2 games. And then yesterday they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. I think Escobar, Lindor, I think Nimitz were all like 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. And it's like, I understand our bullpen was doing well. Walker went 6 innings, 10 Ks, 1 earned run, 6 hits. He was pitching really well. But it's like in a tight game like that, you really have to convert with runners in scoring position. 1 for 9 is not good. You're not going to be relying on Alonso or JD Davis hitting dingers, every time. But nonetheless, I think they played some great baseball. Alonso went 2 for 4. Escobar went 0 for 5 on Sunday.
After a couple good games.
Good games, just cooling off a little bit. Marte back from injury, though. He went 2 for 4 yesterday, which you love to see that. I would like to see, honestly, some more hitting production from Kane and for Tomas Nido, too. He was 0 for 2 runners in scoring position yesterday. I think the big thing he brought to the table was his ability to hit the ball. He's kind of cooled off, I feel like, a little bit. But, I still think it looks up. You take 2 out of 3 against LA. That's phenomenal. Against an LA team who could be pretty dangerous. You look at what they did on Saturday. Look at what they've been doing. I know they had a long losing streak, but, they still have talented players. And they, had a hot start, I feel like, to the season and stuff like that. So, they have the ability to have a bounce back kind of run. But for the Mets to come in, for Taijuan Walker to come in and shut them down, for Walker, dude, that's huge. Huge, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was important to win, that game yesterday as well, just because, the Braves are coming, Tony. 11 straight victories for your Atlanta Braves.
It's pretty interesting because, I'm listening to ESPN radio. Listen to, obviously, we talk about Dave and Rick a lot, but everywhere, even Kellerman, the K Show, they're all talking about how the run in the NL East is totally over. The Mets are going to have it, whatever. I'm thinking to myself, like, what a shitty thing to say, dude. Because it's like, first of all,
you're going Mushkabar.
And especially after Dave has been knocking whatever I forget what producer said in game 3. when they were
Yeah,
up 2-0,
yeah, the sweep
broom,
emoji. Yes,
the broom
yes,
emoji.
yes.
You're knocking him, and then you're gonna say the NL East run is over already? Like, no, hell no. You have a team in the NL East who won the fucking World Series last year. Like, it's not over until you're in the playoffs. Like, not to mention the Mets have blown it plenty of times. Not even just last season, plenty of times.
This is a very
Regardless
small
of the
lead
lead.
at this point
Yeah,
in the season.
exactly. Like they're coming up, dude. There's the margin for error for the Mets now is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's still a lot of question marks for the team in terms of bullpen, in terms of how DeGrom and Scherzer are going to come back, in terms of how well this offense is going to produce for the rest of the season. I mean, there's a lot of question marks here, and you have a team in your division that knows how to win games, knows how to come back. I mean, look at the Braves last season. They were like 50-51 at one point, right?
Yeah.
They made some good, trade deadline moves, and they made a big push for the postseason. They played well in the postseason. They won the World Series. Like, it's not over until you're hoisting the World Series, dude.
Well, and the scary part for the Braves is, I mean, Olsen still hasn't even gotten going.
Yeah.
He's got 6 home runs. Acuna, obviously still getting used to things, but
Right.
producing. So I think they're going to be good. And I mean, I think, what was it, 2.5 weeks ago, the lead was 11, if I'm not mistaken. So, a 5-5 road trip, off day today. Do you know who they got on Tuesday?
I can look for you right now. I'm not sure. I think they come back home and they play the Brewers.
The Brewers. Okay. A team that has been a little spotty of late. 2-8 in their last 10 games. So possibly catching them at the right time. I guess we'll have to see in regards to that. And then just one other question here on the Mets. You mentioned about you think there's some additions coming. Is there anybody in particular you have circled or you'd like to see?
I mean, there's a lot of players I would like to see in the Mets, but I mean, realistically,
yeah.
I don't know. There were talks of them, trading for some prospects to bring up, but it wasn't anyone like lights out or like highly touted or anything like that. So, I mean, anyone in the league right now that would be willing to trade.
Would I be shocked if the Mets tried to get Carpenter?
I don't think they're gonna go for him.
I don't want to give him up, but I'm just
saying.
There's
no way, dude.
He would.
Yeah, of course he would, dude.
Yeah.
He would produce for the Mets. A lot of players would, but I mean, realistically, like, who are you trading?
Yeah, but the thing is, you could have had him for nothing. But what's Billy Epler doing? What does he have in the Johnny Walker Black?
Johnny Walker Black.
Right? I mean, you think he's kind of dropping the ball, not just some under the radar stuff. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose under the radar would be good, because I feel like he was relying on Escobar and Kana to be the under the radar guys. Consistently, they're really not there yet. Marte, I think, has been producing really, really well. But I mean, how long is that going to go on for? Really,
I say try to get Bias from the Tigers. Bring him back.
No, I don't want that.
The thumb downs,
the thumbs down, the earring.
Gotcha.
You can't bring him back. He's bad energy. Bad energy, dude. Bad energy.
Oh man, but yeah, I think they
1,000%, 1,000,000%.
That is one that I remember, Tony. But anyway, so I guess it's a light day. I'm trying to see if we have room. I think we have room for 4, if I'm not mistaken.
3, 6, 9 games.
Okay, so 4 and 4. What do you got?
I mean, we were just talking about them, and they're playing the Nationals tonight, so I'm going to go with the Braves. Ian Anderson's on the mound for them, not having I feel like his best season. But who's he matched up against? Josiah Gray. They actually both. Gray has a 4.33 ERA, getting up 14 home runs over 62 and 1/3 innings pitched, 69 Ks. Hey, but I just think with the Braves, you said it, 11-game winning streak. I couldn't imagine the Nationals being able to stop them even a little bit. And you mentioned Olsen not really getting going.
Why not?
Just to give him a dinger tonight. Travis d'Arnaud, maybe a nice 3 RBI home run. Let's say Braves take it 6-1.
Yeah, and speaking of not being able to see it, I can't see a situation where the Baltimore Orioles defeat Alex Manoah in the Toronto Blue Jays tonight.
There we go, dude.
Complete game shutout, 15 strikeouts. Blue Jays 10-0 over the Orioles, and we're gonna have Matt Chapman, a guy that I haven't really heard his name at all this year. 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, channeling his inner Matt Carpenter.
Wow. Well, I think I'm going to go to a similar type of outcome here with you. Miami is going to be visiting the Phillies tonight. Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies. Has been getting banged up so often recently. And on the mound is Sandy Alcantara,
Future Yankee.
Future Yankee, 1.61 ERA. I would think it'd be close. I honestly, I'd give him 7 2/3, 1 hit, 8 Ks, 1 earned run in that 7th inning. And then they're like, all right, let's pull him 7 2/3, whatever, high pitch count at that point. But give me Miami here. Jorge Soler with a big dinger. We'll keep it close for Aaron, I suppose. Maybe the Phillies bullpen does all right. I say Miami takes it, let's say 3-1.
Padres against the Cubs. Hugh Darvish on the mound versus Steele. I think it's Brandon Steele from Brandon or Justin. It is Justin Steele. We saw the Cubs obviously get banged up by the Yankees this past weekend. Expecting a similar result here, even though they return to the comfortable confines of Wrigley Field, Tony. So Darvish, 6 innings, 2 earned, 12 strikeouts. I'm going to say Manny Machado, another dinger, including 4 hits and 2 doubles, as the Padres all over the Cubs here, 7-2.
Wow.
We had a 1-2.
A little 1-2. 7-2 for the Cubs, huh, dude?
Yeah.
That's brutal. I think I'm gonna go with the Mariners tonight. I feel like you pick them quite often.
They have a couple pitchers that I think are pretty good.
Chris Flexen?
Flexen struggled this year, but has looked good in the past. Twins, though, is this more of like an Archer deal that you're not a believer in Archer on the road?
Yeah,
it doesn't give him length.
Doesn't give him that length at all. And I think that they're going to lose the game, honestly, in the last few innings with the bullpen. So I would say give me Seattle here. Wow, Ty France doing really well, huh?
Yeah.
Give me Seattle. I'll say a big 8th inning. They get 4 runs in the 8th to win it 5-3.
All right. I'm going to go to the Battle of Texas. We're going to Arlington, and we have the Astros at the Rangers here. Christian Javier versus Taylor Hearn. Astros, very underrated this year. Obviously with what the Yankees are doing, but 37 wins, nothing to blow off here. So I like Javier in this pitching matchup. I like the Houston offense. I think Alex Bregman may have 2 home runs as the Astros defeat the Rangers. Let's say 8-4. Javier going 6 strong, 2-run ball. Striking out 7.
All right, one more, right?
Yeah.
Number 4 for me. Pittsburgh Pirates are at St. Louis tonight. You think of St. Louis, you think of Goldschmidt. By gosh, what a season he's having. And against Mitch Keller, 5.26 ERA. I would think Goldschmidt has 2 dingers tonight, at least, dude. Not to mention, the rest of the lineup they have. I think it's going to be a walk in the park for the Cardinals. I think it can get ugly. Give me the Cardinals 11-3.
Love it. To round it out, going with the San Francisco Giants against Kansas City. I believe this one is in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. So 9:45 start at Oracle Park. Alex Wood versus Brady Singer. Give me Wood. 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, modest line. But I'm going to say Brandon Crawford, 5 hits tonight, including 2 home runs. Giants all over the Royals, 15-5. Wow. And that is what it's all about. Your favorite time, Tony. Yes. Quickly, National Basketball Association.
The Bulls LeBron James at the buzzer. He banks in the 3, and the Lakers win the game.
All right, Tony. So the NBA Finals here. We're gonna have Game 5 tonight. Series tied at 2 apiece. Seems a little rigged, the way this series has gone, the back and forth. And obviously the Warriors with a decisive victory on Friday, Curry dropping 43. So, of course, the momentum on their side as they return home here to the Chase Center. So, like I said, been a very kind of up and down series. You would think the winner of this game potentially, wins the series after taking a commanding 3-2 lead. But as like Dave was saying this morning, hard to really get a feel for this series. And just real quickly, I meant to ask you this before. Do you think, he was talking today about the contract expiring in August? I mean, do you think he's kind of joking around, putting pressure on ESPN, or could you see a scenario where August comes and he's out?
Out.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's he going? Podcast?
Yeah, probably.
What is it, just because they don't respect him? You think that's the problem?
Yeah.
What's Rick going to do, you think?
I don't know.
New pairing, maybe Canty or something?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't like that, man.
Neither do I.
But maybe he'll come to Downtown TV. I mean,
That would be dope, dude. Let's do it.
So Rick too, honestly. Let's get Rick in here too.
Let's get both of them. I think
Rick
they
and
would
Dave.
love it in here, dude. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, we got it for you. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But obviously, I'm sure we'll be able to hear them in some format. But back to the game here. Like I said, in Golden State, 4-point favorites for the Warriors here. Like I said, been a back and forth game, series of alternating wins and losses. Do you have a feel for tonight, Tony? I mean, Curry with the big game, coming back home.
Yeah, I think Curry's going to roll over from the next game. What do you have? 47 in the last game, right?
I think 43, but
43.
yeah, I mean, it's all relative.
It's all relative, Brian. It's all relative. Yes, with the fingers up like that. It's all relative. I would say give me Curry again, 40 points. Why not?
Pool party at Tony's with Rick and Dave. Perfect way to kind of welcome them to
honestly,
the Downtime family.
Then the whole Napoleon cake from my favorite bakery. Tony forgot the name. Alfonso's.
I'll have one of those for myself.
Oh, my gosh.
But
anyway, give me the Warriors here tonight. Again, Curry on fire. And maybe Clay gets a few looks as well. Maybe he'll have like 22 points. I don't know. Maybe 6 for 7 from 3.
Well,
let's see it, dude. Warriors take it. I'll say 118 to 112.
All right. I'm gonna say, being that the NBA is rigged, as we all know, they won a 7-game series. So I think that actually the Celtics at the buzzer, Tatum, a playoff career high 65 tonight. Honestly, putting on a show. Curry has a clunker. They keep it close, but in the end, Celtics 99, Warriors 98. As we go back to Boston with a chance to win, I believe, an 18th banner to hoist it in the rafters, Tony. So we'll see if we get a competitive game. 9 o'clock, ABC. And as we come to a close here, one other shout out. Rory McIlroy defends that RBC Canadian Open, going back-to-back from his 2019 championship. So congratulations to him. But other than that, as we come to a close, Tony, anything you have to say on the way out here?
Let's go Mets, dude. Let's go Yankees.
All right. I think you're warming up to the Yankees. I mean, we mentioned the whole thank God for the Yankees last week, and I think that's coming to fruition after the Rangers series season unfortunately ends. But time will tell. But you got to love what you see. And like I said, I want a Subway Series. I hope we get one.
Yeah, me too.
But other than that, a lot of fan interaction today. We really appreciate that. And we really encourage everyone to continue to comment,
Tony
like,
in costume,
and subscribe, as well as, look at Tony in costume on the archives on the YouTube page. So definitely check that out, as well as the spring collection. At downtimetv.com. But everybody, enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.